Hey there, EB here, doing the Anything But Bland weekly update. Today is Friday. It's the Friday before Christmas. Really a good time to slow down, focus on your family, focus on your friends, reflect on what the year has been. It's it's a little slower right now in the law, but of course I'm pretty busy with the book stuff. But thankfully, I don't think I have as much news as I usually do, which tells me that the waters are a little calm. Internationally, we still have to see how Syria shakes out with when they overthrow the Assad government. We're a little unsure of who's going to take the mantle and whether it's going to be an Islamic State or they're going to have uh, more of a democracy and let women have rights that they should always have. So that's interesting. Internationally, Putin indicated on a 4 hour talk to the nation that he might use some type of strategic short term nuclear arms against Ukraine. So that's a problem. That's something that we have to look at. The other thing that is important is, hey Cheryl, how are you doing? Appreciate you. You can't wait for my book, Cheryl Duke. The next thing is in France, and this is a really sad story. Giselle Pelicot is a woman who was victimized by her husband over a 20-year period, would drug her, and she ended up being raped by over 40 different people, men, and there was 48 convictions. Amazingly, you only get 20 years in France for rape. That's the maximum sentence. Seems a little bit light to me. Just an absolute heinous crime. Um, so we'll have to follow up to see all the other people who participated in these rapes, what kind of sentence they're going to get. The South Korean Prime Minister we talked about a couple weeks ago, who declared martial law, was finally impeached. It's going to have to now go through a full trial. The moral of that story is don't cry wolf. Um, Now what we have is really interesting what's going on in Washington, D.C. So tonight at midnight, the federal government's going to shut down. All federal workers who need to be paid uh, to celebrate Christmas the right way and go into the new year will not be paid. Only essential workers get paid, and it's a problem of the Republicans' own making. For the last 4 months, the Republicans and the Democrats in the House have been negotiating the continuing resolution budget that expires tonight. And they made an agreement on funding FEMA uh, and some of the states that have been decimated by hurricanes and other natural disasters. There was also some provisions in there for childhood cancer research and really important things. And there was an agreement between Mike Johnson and Hakeem Jeffries. Mike Johnson, the majority, the Speaker of the House for the Republicans, and then Hakeem Jeffries is the minority leader for the Democrats. Well, evidently Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who are billionaires and can go without a paycheck for, till the end of time, they decided that there was too much spending in this bill, even though that it was approved by Republicans and Democrats, that was compromised, that there was a working across the aisle, which we want done. President Musk, as he's now known, because he's sticking his beak in every single thing around, including not leaving Trump's side. And Musk came out and said, don't vote for the bill, do a pared down bill and only extend it to March, and demand that the national debt not have to be revisited until 2 or 3 years down the road. So that'll give Trump all he needs to spend money, which he likes to do, did it in his first administration, and won't have to deal with the debt ceiling. Um, as a result of it, it failed last night. Only 176 votes were obtained by the Republicans. In fact, 36 Republicans voted against it. Only 2 Democrats voted for the bill. And so now the government's going to shut down right before Christmas. And this is what Mike Johnson's dealing with. Mike Johnson has a 1-seat majority in January for the Republicans over the Democrats. And Tip O'Neill used to say, even a third grader can do math. You've got to get 218 votes. The problem is that there's always 10 to 15 Republicans that will never vote for a continuing resolution of the budget unless there's massive cuts. So you're going to have bipartisan support if you're the Speaker of the House to be able to get a budget passed. You're going to have to get Democrats to come along with it. And so the Democrats are not going to help out the Republicans here. And Elon Musk has really caused a problem for incoming President Trump. And President Trump's the kind of guy, the Democrats are really smart right now, which is rare. And they're referring to Elon Musk as President Musk, and that it's the president and the VP that are the VP select that are J.D. Vance that are running the government. Well, all Trump has to do is start to hear that Elon Musk is getting too much credit. And I'm telling you, Elon Musk is on a short fuse. The DOGE, the whole thing with Department of Governmental Efficiency, is an advisory committee. It's not going to get off the ground. I'm telling you, my prediction is by March, if Elon Musk continues to stay by Trump's side, like last night Trump had dinner with Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk wasn't invited, yet he showed up at Mar-a-Lago and sat in on the dinner. I think Donald Trump's going to start getting sick of Elon Musk getting credit for things or taking responsibility and saying, I'm the one that's making these decisions. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But now, 2 days ago, Marjorie Taylor Greene said, oh, I'm all for Mike Johnson being the Speaker of the House. Now, all of a sudden, there's rumblings that he's going to be unseated and Steve Scalise is going to become the Speaker of the House from Louisiana. Problem is that Steve Scalise needed 17 more votes to turn, last year when Kevin McCarthy was kicked out as Speaker of the House, and Steve Scalise couldn't get the votes. I don't know anybody who would want that job. It's impossible. You're not going to be able to get all the Republicans to go in line because of the Freedom Caucus members such as Roy from Texas, who will never agree on any kind of budget. So that was really interesting. Luigi Mangione was extradited from Pennsylvania on Thursday. He has a new lawyer. He hired a high-powered attorney who was a former chief deputy counsel of the United States District Court. His lawyer, which is this female, is also married to a man who is the lawyer for P. Diddy. So they have two really high-profile cases. I don't really know what the defense is going to be on that because there's so much overwhelming direct and circumstantial evidence. What is interesting is who is paying this lawyer. I know that GoFundMe pages have been brought down, but there were a lot of supporters there when he got off the helicopter in New York City yesterday. There were a lot of supporters wearing Luigi hats and health not wealth and those kind of T-shirts. It's interesting, though, the day before he was arrested, supposedly Luigi's mother called the FBI and said that she believes that that is her son in the photographs. The next big story, and now he's facing a murder charge. He's also facing federal court murder charges, and I think that that may come with the death penalty, although the state court murder charge in New York City will go first. We're having all these drone sightings outside of New York City and New Jersey, and people are wondering if the government is doing it to search for radiation or these foreign actors, foreign countries that are releasing these drones in our country. So that is really interesting. We keep getting information from General John Kirby and other people in the administration that these are just regular commercial drones. Some of them are just small manned airplanes and others are, home drones. So I think we're going to have to start having some pretty tight regulations on what drones are doing. The Liz Cheney aspect of it is really interesting because Loudermilk, who's a House member, issued a report this week saying that Liz Cheney broke the law in her dealings with Cassidy Hutchinson. Um, and you know, what's interesting is that Cassie Hutchinson fired her lawyers that were being paid for by the Trump campaign, and she hired her own. So there is no allegation or evidence that Liz Cheney did anything wrong. But what is interesting is there isn't one single Republican that has stood up for her and said that she was doing her job, as well as Adam uh, Kitzinger was doing his job from Illinois. So they're now saying that she should be prosecuted. Trump has echoed that in a tweet Wednesday night after the report came out. So that's going to be really interesting. Jennifer Carroll said Elon is definitely on the spectrum. I do think that Doge is a good thing in theory about eliminating a lot of waste and unnecessary research stuff that is being done. But any man that would name his kids with a mathematical formula as their name doesn't seem to be too rational to me. The interesting thing is the Bucks, Milwaukee Bucks, won the in-tournament NBA season. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Leonard played great together. The first time they seem to be gelling in a year and a half. So that's going to be interesting to see if they could continue it on for the remainder of the season. Doc Rivers, who was their coach, has been highly criticized. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best pure big man in basketball. I think he's one of the best, if not the best player in the league. He plays the game like a big man. You know, you now have Jokic and you have, LeBron. You have all these big centers that are shooting three-pointers. The three-point shot is just taken over the game. That's a byproduct of Joel Embiid is even doing it. Is a byproduct of Steph Curry. Everybody's doing it, and the game is no longer fun to watch. It's nothing but guys shooting 30 and 40 footers. But Antetokounmpo, Giannis, he plays the game on the inside, on the glass, as a pure big man. He can dribble it up the court and penetrate. I think he's a wonderful player. They call him the Greek Freak. LeBron is starting to show his age. He missed a couple games for personal reasons. Was on an 0 for 31 streak on three-pointers. Clearly one of the top three best players that ever played the game. Not going to say he's better than Jordan because I don't believe it. But he's had an amazing career. He's the leading scorer. He's won 4 titles. But I think he could be maybe 1 year left after this year. The Yankees got Cody Bellinger, really excited about that. He's a left-handed hitter, former MVP who plays for the Cubs. Dynamite left-handed hitter with the short left field porch in right field in Yankee Stadium. And last week I told you, I really believe that it was in the best interest of the Yankees that Soto went somewhere else. And look how they're going to use that $750 million that they saved, $760 million. They picked up Max Fried as well as Bellinger, and they're looking to get a first baseman. I just saw Christian Walker, who plays for the Diamondbacks, former USC player, signed with the Houston Astros. So that's a little beat down on the Yankees. We got the college football playoff games tonight, according to Pam LaRusse. I think Notre Dame is going to crush Indiana, which is going to be an interesting game. And I do think that Florida will beat Tulane. I actually think Clemson's going to beat Texas, and that's going to be an upset. Penn State has the easiest path to go through SMU and then Boise State to get to Georgia. The Georgia quarterback is not going to, looks like going to play Carson Beck, because he has an elbow injury. So that's going to be an interesting thing to talk about. Mitch McConnell and Warren, they have come out. Evidently, Kennedy, his lawyer, said that he wrote a letter that they should revoke the authorization for the polio vaccines. Absolutely extraordinary to me that somebody would do this. There's a lot of senators who had polio when they were a young kid. McConnell's one of them. Uh, Polio has saved us, has enabled us to live long and fruitful lives, the polio vaccine. I think it would be an absolute disgrace if somehow the polio vaccine started to be voluntary instead of mandatory. That's my opinion. McConnell threw the gauntlet down and said he thinks it would be wise if Kennedy did come up on the Hill and renounce what his lawyer had said, that they wanted to revoke the polio vaccine. Nancy Pelosi, who was over in Luxembourg last week, fell down a stair and she broke her hip. It's amazing. She took the photo and she was being held up. It was a photo of some House members and some other dignitaries. And she was being held up, and she ended up getting hip surgery at United States Army Hospital in Germany. The main thing that I want to talk about is that the Duke lacrosse rape victim admitted that she lied. We're starting to see one too many of these things with, like, Jussie Smollett, where they cry the race that, remember Tawana Brawley in the 80s, where she screamed excrement on her, rubbed excrement and said that she was raped by a New York City cop, and Reverend Al Sharpton put her up to it. This woman wrecked the lives of 3 Duke students. This woman wrecked the Duke lacrosse program for a number of years. It had to postpone its season in 2006. These kids are forever going to live in infamy that they were charged with the rape. And as I always said, that, once you let out a lie, it's like feathers coming out of a pillow. You can't grab them all and put them back in. Even though in 2008, the governor, Cooper of North Carolina, was then Attorney General, said that the 3 boys were innocent of the rape. It really didn't resonate. And the fact that now, 16 years later, she's in prison for murdering her boyfriend in 2011, and now all of a sudden she's got a pang of honesty and is talking about that she lied about it. I think she should get an additional sentence, and anybody that assisted her should get an additional sentence. I think it's one of the worst things I've ever heard. It's amazing. Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos so far in the last week have come to Mar-a-Lago to have dinner with Trump and bend the knee. They've given $1 million each to the Trump inauguration campaign, which is, basically a half a penny or a 1/100th of 1 penny for their wealth. But it's interesting because Trump's first term, he did nothing but slam on Zuckerberg. So that was interesting. Sam Altman, who's also an AI intelligence type of guy, he came there. So did Tim Cook from Apple, and all dined with Trump and all bent the knee to Trump. It's extraordinary who's trying to get favor in the new administration. We saw that DeAndre Campbell of the 49ers did something that I have never seen. I did see Antonio Brown do it, but he was crazy. It was a game against the Rams, I think, and it was rainy, and Dre Greenlow, who is a tremendous linebacker for the 49ers, came back. He had injured himself last year in the Super Bowl, jumping up and down, tore his ACL, and so he played a little bit. This DeAndre Campbell, who's been in the NFL for 10 years, didn't start, so evidently he was a little pissed off about it. And Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, the coach of the 49ers, asked him to go in the third quarter, and he said, no, I'm not going in. He then walked off the field with a towel over his head, and the 49ers tight end and a couple other players were really pissed off as they said that he quit on the team. They've never seen anything like it. They don't want to see him again. So that was really disgusting as far as I'm concerned. I just think if you quit on your teammates, you're done. I'd be surprised if another team picked him up, and if they did, that he becomes a pariah of the locker room. So that's it basically for the news. Looking forward to the football this weekend. Obviously, It's going to be interesting to see if Patrick Mahomes plays on Saturday because he's got to turn around and play 5 days later on Christmas Day. He says he wants to play. He's got a high ankle sprain. I think it would be the dumbest thing in the world. The Bills-Chiefs game is going to be a great game. And again, I think that Josh Allen is the MVP of the league with Saquon Barkley a close second. Bill Belichick has gone to the UNC Tar Heels to be a coach, and everybody's saying how it's such a bad idea. I tend to think it's a good idea. I think they're going to get some interesting transfer students in. They're going to get some interesting recruits, and the guy can coach. The ACC is one of the easiest of the Power 5 leagues, so I think he's going to do well. It looks like Mike Vrabel may end up getting either the Ohio State football job if Ryan Day is fired, or he's going to have his pick of the litter between the Jets and the Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was interesting this week that Aaron Rodgers for the Jets and Woody Johnson are feuding. Woody Johnson's the owner and Aaron Rodgers the quarterback. They don't have a good relationship at all. Aaron Rodgers has a good relationship with his brother, but it's never a good thing for a player to be feuding with an owner, so I'm not sure that's going to end well. So I got one question from Catherine who said, can we get your prediction on the punitive damages that Moss and Kuhn will be responsible for? They're talking about the Nautilus trial that's coming up in January. That is going to be very interesting. Punitive damages are hard to get. It's a high standard. You have to show by a clear and convincing standard. So a preponderance of the evidence is a little more than 50%. Beyond the reasonable doubt is up here. In the middle is clear and convincing, and you have to show that for fraud as well as to get punitive damages. And they're really not awarded a lot. Moss, Kuhn, and Fleming obviously didn't do oversight over Corey Fleming's actions, and so the question is going to come out to be grossly negligent, which would entitle punitive damages to be considered. So we'll have to see. Moss, Kuhn, and Fleming initially threatened to sue certain journalists for even writing about the Satterfield case, and they also threatened me. They said that go after Corey Fleming, but Moss and Kuhn said if you come after us, we'll come after you. It was an empty threat, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing, like Faulkner's idiot. So that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. Last week, Alex Murdaugh filed his kitchen sink brief where he raised every single issue in the world, issues such as, his Miranda rights were violated even though he waived them time and time again. His own lawyer sat in the car with him while he talked and waived his rights. He got on the witness stand at his trial and waived his rights. So I don't think his appeal is going to fly. I think if he gets any redress, it's going to have to come in a federal court. I don't believe that our state Supreme Court is going to reverse Justice Jean Toll on the egg lady juror issue. So that is the weekly update. Sorry it's so short, but there's just not a lot of news, and that's a good thing. I think people are focusing on their family, and everybody is worrying about, can we afford gifts this year? What are we going to have for our Christmas Day dinner? So I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a healthy and happy New Year. If something happens big during the week, I may do a weekly update next Friday. If not, it'll be after the first of the year. So I want to thank everybody for all that you've done for me. I thank my listeners and people who have bought my book. We have a book signing event at my office this Sunday at 2 o'clock at 105 West Main Street in Lexington. And so you could bring your books and I'll sign them and take pictures with you. And I have a book signing event. I'm going to be in Aspen, Colorado on December 30th skiing with my family, and at Explore Bookstore on West Main Street from 4 to 5:30 on Monday, December 30th. I'll be signing books. So everybody have a great, great holiday season, and I appreciate you. Bye-bye.